Well, my friends, welcome back to Spot On with Link. Lauren, happy Monday morning. God put a rainbow in the sky. I'm just so happy to be here with you guys this morning. Over the weekend, so much happened. You had the New York City Marathon, you had Halloween, you had the World Series. Not that I'm an expert on sports by any means, but let's start off by talking about Halloween, okay? We're going to get into Michelle Obama, Kamala Harris, George Clooney, all of this breaking news you guys need to hear, okay? We'll be breaking down Meghan Markle's new cringe videos, but I want to start by discussing Halloween very quickly because I was disgusted, and I was appalled by some of the things that I saw on Halloween, okay? Some of you folks out there, I hope it's not my audience, doesn't look like my kind of people because some of them were wearing sheets, but nonetheless, I'm disgusted by some of these people out here who are stealing and gaming the system on Halloween. Okay, the owners, okay, let's say the owner of a home who's kind and gracious enough to hand out candy on Halloween, he or she goes inside to relieve themselves. They need to go pee, they need to touch up in the mirror, they need to go do something else, okay? They go inside to use the bathroom. While they're inside, for 30 seconds, a bunch of hooligans come in, these trolls, and they steal all the candy. Okay, this is not who we are as Americans. This is not who we're supposed to be as a country. People coming in and just stealing all of the candy out of the bowl. Grown-ass adults coming in and stealing candy. I'm appalled. I'm disgusted. It's not who we are as the American people coming in like this, and I'll be damned, okay? I didn't even pass out candy this year, okay? I didn't pass out candy. I was inside. I had all the lights out. Okay, had everything dark, had the blinds closed. I freaking looked like the witch in Hansel and Gretel. Don't come by my house, okay? I love the kids. I didn't have the energy for it. Didn't have the energy for trick or treat, hello. No, okay, go to the neighbor's house. I don't have energy for it. And when I see videos like this, we are on to you, okay? Because now everybody has a Ring camera. Everyone has a Ring camera so they can see the thievery, okay? The thievery that's going on. So shame on you. Shame on all the people out there that stole this candy, and it's a bunch of grown adults, and some of y'all look like illegal migrants, and I hope you get caught. I hope you get caught, and I hope you get deported for stealing the candy, and I hope it was worth it. Now, someone else who also comes out of the woodwork every year on Halloween is none other than Heidi Klum, and we'll put a picture of Heidi Klum's Halloween costume up on the screen. Heidi Klum throws this big Halloween party every single year. She invites her liberal, famous Hollywood celebrity friends, and she always does the most insane costumes. One year she was a worm. I think this year she was Medusa, okay? I think actually this is what Heidi Klum would look like if she didn't have plastic surgeons and estheticians and personal chefs and trainers. Heidi Klum said she was going as Medusa for Halloween this year. When I look at the pictures, I'm like, no, this is actually Heidi Klum if she didn't have money. Okay, this is Heidi Klum without Ozempic and without money, allegedly. And then she has her husband dressed up next to her. Nonetheless, I just want to give kudos to Heidi Klum for her commitment to Halloween. She has really not much else going on in her career, but she lives for Halloween, so good for her. She looks like Medusa, and if you saw Heidi Klum without makeup, you might turn to stone also, but let's move on. Now, something else that happened over the weekend was the New York City Marathon. And you guys know me, okay? If you followed me on social media, I talk about this all the time. I cannot stand people who make running marathons their entire personality. Okay, you guys have to come up with a new personality other than just running miles and miles and miles around a dirty city. Okay, if I go on a date with a guy, right? And he's like, oh, I just ran a marathon. I'm traveling to Tokyo to run another marathon. I'm like, okay, what? You want a cookie? You want a hug? You want a little pat on the head? You want a participation trophy? I don't care, okay? I have so much going on in my life. Who has the time to go run miles and miles and miles with a bunch of random ne'er-do-well people? I don't want to go run around some city with a bunch of strangers. Apparently, Chelsea Clinton does. Chelsea Clinton, she ran the New York City Marathon over the weekend, and she was visited by her mother and father, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. Now, Bill showed up. He had a bandage on his nose, so I don't know if he had some work done. I don't know if he's had his nose poking around in some place he shouldn't. I don't know if he's cheated on Hillary again and she gave him a punch, though I think that's old hat at this point. But no, they went and they visited Chelsea. It's nice that Chelsea Clinton is running marathons. She could use it. I'm glad she's out there running, getting the exercise. Now, she did not come in first place by any means. And when Hillary was asked why her daughter did not win, she said the marathon was sexist. She says Chelsea would have won if she wasn't a woman. I do think it's interesting, though, that Chelsea invites her mother and father to come visit her at the marathons. Like, Hillary Clinton is not a good luck charm in any way, shape, or form, right? Hillary Clinton comes to visit her daughter. Why would you invite Hillary to the marathon when Hillary is notorious for losing races, okay? Hillary, all she does is lose races, and then she complains that it was somebody else's fault. So maybe this runs in the family, but good for Chelsea, good for all of you. The only marathon I like is Marathon, Florida, and I wish I were there right now sipping a pina colada on the beach. Now we have to move on to Jasmine Crockett for another installment of Crockett's Corner. Jasmine Crackalacka Crockett is the gift that keeps on giving. Okay, Jasmine Crockett, we know by now, you guys love when I do my Jasmine Crockett impression because this mofo crackalacka checka book, that is Jasmine Crockett, okay? But she's trying out some new accents like Kamala Harris. There's this thing in the Democratic Party where they just make up new accents every week. Like one day Kamala Harris is like, I'm a Jamaican man, listening to Bob Marley, man, I'm Jamaican. And then Kamala Harris, she's like doing a Hispanic, like Mexican accent, like, oh, lo siento, entonces, Monday gonna be. Kamala Harris, Jasmine Crockett, these people are frauds. Speaking of the fraudulent behavior, Jasmine Crockett, she was on a show recently and she claimed that Republicans in Texas were coming up to her and saying that they just didn't like Trump and that she had their support.
I have been in all kinds of cities and airports and otherwise where people walk up to me and of course they don't have an R on their forehead, but they tell me that they have a difference when it comes to politics, but they love me. And so I think it is that actually concerns him. And it is a reason that he wants to make sure that he is doing everything that he can to stop us.
As someone from Texas, I'm from Dallas, let me tell you, I think about 96% of Republicans agree with President Trump and everything that he's doing. Okay, so you're telling me out of this 4%, they've managed to track down Jasmine Crockett in the airport to tell her how much they love her and to heap praise on her? Maybe someone like the Liz Cheney Republicans are doing that. I just don't believe it. Okay, I will believe it when I see it. Jasmine Crockett, she's always filming a TikTok or an Instagram live. So if this happened, it would be on camera and I would believe it. But Jasmine Crockett, she sounds like such a narcissist. She's like, they love me. They tell me that they love me and they love someone like me. Who is telling you that? Maybe the voices in your head, maybe your team of yes men. And we know Jasmine Crockett's a diva because there were those stories where she wants her team to put a pillow behind her back. They have to carry her purse, open the car door. She wants personal chauffeurs allegedly driving her around. She is a diva. She wanted to be Beyonce. She didn't end up being Beyonce. She ended up in the United States Congress, okay, and ended up all of our problems. So Jasmine Crockett, I do not believe that people were coming up to her because, like I've said, she is one of the most uncouth, inarticulate women, and she does not represent Texas values. Even when there was the roundtable down in Texas in Kerrville where you had President Trump, the First Lady, Ted Cruz, and Cornyn, and Greg Abbott. I was down there in Kerrville after the horrific flooding at Camp Mystic, and those young girls lost their lives, and so many other people lost their lives. Jasmine Crockett didn't even show up to the roundtable. You had folks, bipartisan folks coming together, leaders around Texas. Because of this crisis, Jasmine Crockett was nowhere to be found. Jasmine Crockett did not even show up at the roundtable. So I just have a hard time believing that folks in Texas are heaping praise onto her because she does not represent Texas values. What I hear from people in her district is we don't hear from Jasmine Crockett and we're embarrassed by her. And I hear from Black women who tell me all the time in my comments and in my DMs, they see we are embarrassed. There's such little representation for Black women in politics, especially on the national stage. So to have someone like Jasmine Crockett go out there with all her fake accents and personalities and to be so uncouth and such an embarrassment, I understand why Black women are embarrassed by Jasmine Crockett. So I don't believe this one bit that people are coming up to her in airports. I think it's an interesting story. She wants us to believe she's the next Princess Diana. Jasmine Crockett, good for you. Now we have to check in with Miss Kamalamity Harris, Miss Cabernet Kamala. She is still on her book tour. This book tour is like purgatory. This book tour is never going to end, okay? I'm going to be 100 years old and Kamala is still going to be on this book tour, okay? From dust to dust, from dusk to dawn. Kamala Harris is promoting this book. When will we know peace? When will we get a moment of respite, a reprieve, of peace? I'm running out of SAT words. But Kamala Harris, she's still on this book tour. George Clooney is also on tour. Okay, we're going to start off with a clip of George Clooney discussing Kamala Harris and how it was a mistake to make her the nominee.
We had a chance. I wanted there to be, as I wrote in the op-ed, a primary. Let's battle test this quickly and get it up and going. I think The mistake with it being Kamala is that she had to run against her own record. And it's very hard to do if the point of running is to say, I'm not that person. It's hard to do. And so she was given a very tough task. I think it was a mistake, quite honestly, but we are where we are.
George Clooney is sitting there in his little douchebag sunglasses after fleeing the United States of America, telling us Kamala Harris did not have a good record. I'm glad you're realizing that now in the 11th hour, okay? We all knew Kamala Harris didn't have a record when she oversaw the worst invasion in American history at the southern border. When Kamala Harris wanted us to pay for inmates in prison to have transgender surgeries, that was a problem, okay? When we had sky-high inflation, that was an issue as well. When we had men and women's sports and Kamala wouldn't even say a thing about it, she wouldn't say a thing about it because she was scared of getting canceled, that is Kamala Harris. So for George Clooney to go, well, I wrote an op-ed. Do these celebrities think we care? Do these celebrities actually think we care about a little op-ed that you wrote in the New York Times? We don't want to hear from rich Hollywood celebrities who probably have a third-grade education and can barely spell the word mom backwards, okay? Who can barely read, write, and do arithmetic, okay? So George Clooney, he should stick to acting and selling his liquor. Maybe he's been drinking too much of his own liquor because he sounds like a buffoon. To sit there and say, well, just Kamala Harris, it was a mistake to put her in. I mean, she didn't have a good record. You didn't know that 2 years ago? You didn't know that 6 months ago? You're realizing that now as we're almost in 2026 that Kamala is a buffoon idiot? You're realizing that now, George Clooney. So I also just want to say, for all of these celebrities who want to jump in on politics, good luck. Every time you guys jump in, it backfires. Maybe you should have had a primary. Maybe you guys should have had a little mini primary. You could have had Whitmer and Shapiro and Harris kind of duke it out. And then maybe you would have a nominee who is battle tested. But you guys didn't do that. And thank God you didn't. Okay, thank God you didn't. I still think a Democrat would have lost. But I'm so glad Kamala Harris is not in the White House right now. Could you imagine Kamala Harris sitting down with President Xi, Vladimir Putin? The woman cackles on cue and she doesn't know the temperature of the room. Okay, I would be ashamed, embarrassed, scared, quite frankly, if Kamala Harris was our defense against nuclear war. If Kamala Harris was our best defense against the end of the world, I'm just packing it up. I'm calling my loved ones, okay? So George Clooney, maybe stick out of politics. Now I want to move on to another clip. My printer was broken today, so we're doing the best here. I want to move on to another clip. Kamala Harris thinks we should lower the voting age to 16.
Gen Z, they're age about 13 through 27. They've only known the climate crisis. They missed substantial parts of their education because of the pandemic. It is very likely that whatever they've chosen as their major for study may not result in an affordable wage. They've coined the term climate anxiety to describe fear of not only being able to buy a home, but that fear will be wiped out by extreme weather, but fear of having children. If they're voting right now, at 16 and up, they're going to be talking about the importance of climate. They're going to be talking about the importance of figuring out how AI is going to affect the future of the workforce.
The reason Kamala Harris wants to lower the voting age to 16 is because she thinks it might help her win, right? She can't convince adults who are functioning and have frontal lobes connected and who are grown, mature adults. She can't convince them to vote for her because we can all see she's an idiot. But 16-year-olds might be like, Kamala's great. She's promising us free this and free that. We might like Kamala Harris. She's on TikTok doing a dance. No, okay? Lowering the voting age to 16 would be terrible. But this shows how desperate Kamala Harris is getting. She can't win. She can't win over the American electorate. So she just wants children to turn out and vote for her. And I guess this is okay because she also believes children should have transgender surgeries and be injected with hormones before they can even vote, drive, serve this country. So this is part and parcel of what Kamala Harris is all about. I think it is a horrible mistake to lower the voting age to 16. She also talks about climate anxiety. Kamala Harris has done this for years. She says the biggest issue facing young people is climate anxiety. Young people are just so scared about the climate. I'm here to tell you, young people are like, we want to buy a home, we want food, we want healthcare, we just want to have a white picket fence and a driveway and a car and a wife and kids and just have the American dream that our ancestors had. I don't ever hear from young people telling me that they're up at night worrying about the climate. Maybe a few deranged liberals. Okay. And she says these young people aren't having kids because of the climate. It's like, no, these young people aren't having kids because they don't have money. They don't know how to date because of the technology. A lot of them have turned into non-binary, polyamorous, LGBTQ people. Okay. So they're not dating and they're not having kids. And that's why the birth rate is at an all-time low. Okay. The CDC reports the birth rate is at an all-time low. So she thinks lowering the voting age to 16 is going to make a difference in this country. Kamala, you're an idiot. And I want to look at one last clip of Kamala Harris. She talks about how the Democrat Party has all of these stars like AOC, Crockett, Mamdani. Let's take a look.
We have so many stars in our party. There are so many stars. And let's not be afraid of them. You talk about Mamdani. I mean, he's exciting this group of people who otherwise don't think of themselves as being aligned or a part or even seen by the system. You just look at the range of what we have. So many. Jasmine Crockett, who I just talked to recently. I mean, we have so many stars.
Kamala Harris, put down the liquor bottle immediately. Step away from the mini bar. Okay, Kamala Harris. She's on that podcast slurring. We have so many stars in the party. We have just so many stars. And she sounds like Anna Nicole Kamala. She sounds like Anna Nicole Harris. Anna Nicole Kamala thinks that Mamdani and Crockett and AOC are stars. Honey, I think you're seeing stars. I think you're seeing stars, and you should have been cut off by the bartender a few hours ago. Okay, Kamala Harris, your family needs to step in. Your family needs to step in. As I've said, maybe the sequel to her book, 107 Days, could be 12 Steps. Kamala, you're sitting there slurring, and I don't think you are seeing stars in the Democratic Party. I think you're seeing stars because you're about to black out and go unconscious. But we got to pay some bills, and after we pay some bills, we'll be right back to talk Michelle Obama. I want to talk about snacks for a minute. Back in the day, chips and fries were cooked in tallow. Then the 90s hit and big corporations pushed cheap seed oils. Now those oils are 20% of our calories, linked to inflammation and metabolic problems. Not cool. You guys know I love Vandy Crisps, and they are bringing it back with just 3 ingredients: heirloom potatoes, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow, no seed oils. That tallow is loaded with nutrients for your skin, brain, and hormones, and it makes these chips taste unreal. You feel light, energized, no bloat or crash like with regular chips. They're 100% American made, no shortcuts, and hands down the best chip I've ever had. The tallow means you're satisfied without overeating. My favorite, Smokehouse Barbecue. It's next level. Ready to give Vandy a try? Go to vandycrisps.com/link and use code LINK for 25% off your first order. That's vandycrisps.com/link, code LINK for 25% off your first order. And if you don't feel like ordering online, that is fine. Vandy is now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket. So stop by and pick up a bag before they're gone. Well, now we have to check in with one of the women we've banished to Bitch Island in our minds, okay? We've banished Michelle Obama to Bitch Island because all she does is bitch and moan and complain, even though she's probably the most privileged woman in America, okay? She marries Barack Obama. She was never some great attorney or lawyer. She grew up on the south side of Chicago, this round-the-way girl. She said she grew up in poverty, didn't have tons of money. She marries a man, and basically she can sort of ride on his coattails all the way to the White House. All the way, and then she does nothing. Literally nothing as First Lady. She did some like herkies in a fucking, I'm sorry, excuse my French. I'm sorry if my mom's Bible study is watching. She did some like herkies and cartwheels and planted a vegetable garden and told kids to get fit. And now kids are fatter than ever before. So good on you, Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama was supposed to be this like Maha before Maha was a thing, this fitness warrior. I think she did like a push-up on the Ellen show. And that was kind of the end of it. But Michelle Obama, she is back, okay? She's back with a vengeance, complaining about something new. She is complaining that she has to spend time doing her hair.
The way our hair naturally grows out of our head is beautiful, but if we struggle to make it look like the standard, that means we are spending thousands of hours and lots of money straightening out what is naturally curly hair, right? And that takes time out of your life. It costs money.
Now, I am in no position, Okay, I'm a very metacognitive person. I'm very self-reflective. I'm very honest and objective. I am in no position to be speaking about using your natural hair. Okay, I'm in no position to tell Michelle Obama to have her natural hair, but I am in a position to tell her, stop whining. Okay, stop whining. You're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You live in a massive mansion in Martha's Vineyard. They probably come to Michelle Obama's house to do her hair. Okay, you're complaining that you have to get your hair done, woman. Come to reality, okay? Come to reality, sweetheart. She's complaining that she has to do her hair. I'm so sorry, Michelle Obama, that you have to have a hairstylist come and do your hair for you. And if it's such a problem, you could just do your natural hair. But I have no sympathy. You're not getting sympathy from anyone here at the Spot On with Link, Lauren Bureau. We have no sympathy for you. But this is part and parcel of Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama, if you recall, she's also complained about having to pay for food in the White House. She's done these interviews recently. She's like, we had to pay for our own food in the White House. All the rest of us here on planet Earth, we have to pay for our own food. I don't know why Michelle Obama thinks she's special. She thinks she's, God's gift to this green earth. But she's also complaining that when she was in the first family, living in the White House with Sasha, Malia, Barack and his high-waisted mom jeans, she's also complaining that they weren't given the same grace as other first families.
You said we were all too aware that as a first black couple, we couldn't afford any missteps.
Yeah.
And you also say, as a black woman, I was under a particularly white, hot glare. Did you feel that?
For sure. You can't afford to get anything wrong because you didn't get at least until the country came to know us, we didn't get the grace that I think some other families have gotten.
Didn't get the grace? Didn't get the grace? All she did was get grace. The mainstream media did nothing but praise Michelle Obama. We love you, Michelle. You're our savior, Michelle. You should be the next nominee, Michelle. Remember, the same people she's saying aren't giving her grace were telling us that she should have been the Democratic nominee. Wake up. Snap out of it, bitch. I'm tired of all this. I'm tired of all the lies from Michelle Obama. I'm tired of this woman complaining. Okay, there are people with real problems. There are those of you watching this who might be sick, might be taking care of a sick relative, trying to make ends meet, okay? And for rich-ass, spoiled Michelle Obama to complain about her hair, to complain that she wasn't given grace as First Lady, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry our tax dollars paid for you to live in the freaking White House and be First Lady of the United States, okay? Do you want to go back to the South Side of Chicago? Do you want to go back to the South Side of Chicago, freaking doing whatever the hell you were doing? Do you want to go back and do that? No. So enjoy being First Lady and relish in the fact that you had the honor and the privilege of being First Lady, one of the most immense privileges you can have as a woman on the world stage. And all you do is complain? And that's why we've sent you to Bitch Island. You're going to go live on Bitch Island right now, okay? You're going to move from Martha's Vineyard to Bitch Island because all you do is bitch and moan. And we're sick of it, Michelle. We're so sick of it. But Barack Obama, he might not be sick of Michelle Obama. He says she is still fine.
Oh, I love you, but hold on. I heard you, girl. Just settle down. I'm here to talk to everybody, not just you. I mean, you look cute, but I am married. Michelle's fine too.
I don't know what's more unrealistic about that clip. That Barack Obama finds Michelle to be fine, or that he finds a woman to be attractive at all. I've never heard a straight man be like, girl in the crowd, girl, you look good, girl. And Barack Obama's doing this new accent where he's like, girlfriend, you look good, but my wife is fine. I've never heard a straight man talk like that in my life. But I'm just, speaking off the cuff here. I guess he thinks Michelle Obama is fine and gorgeous and beautiful. And I guess they've had all the mirrors removed in their house. Here's my thing. I think the Obamas are so desperate to cling to their brand. They can't handle the fact that their brand is in the gutter. No one cares anymore. They were praised as this sort of elite Democratic couple that the media loved on the world stage. They have no clout whatsoever. Their brand sucks. I don't think he thinks Michelle Obama is fine. I don't think they even sleep in the same rooms, if you had to ask me, in my opinion. All they do is complain about each other. Michelle Obama has done an entire podcast, and the whole thesis of the podcast is that she can't stand Barack. She doesn't like the way he chews. She doesn't like the way he talks. She hated being First Lady. She hates most everything about her life. So I just don't believe that Barack Obama is walking around every day like, man, my wife is so fine. Maybe he does, because she's got broad shoulders and she's muscular. Maybe he does like her. I don't know. But Barack Obama, I think there's some trouble in paradise. I think there's some trouble in paradise with Barack and Michelle Obama, but we have to move on to some other topics. Now it's time for a Royal Roundup, but we have to start by talking about these ex-wannabe royals over in California, okay? The Duchess of Scamalot has done her latest scam. Meghan Markle, okay? Apparently she's such a big Dodgers fan. I don't know when she became such a big Dodgers fan. I actually thought she used to love the Toronto Blue Jays, but she's a chameleon, okay? She's a chameleon. You give her free tickets to a Dodgers game, she's going to become a Dodgers fan. You give her front row seats, she's going to become a Dodgers fan. That is Meghan Markle. Well, the Dodgers won the World Series. And instead of just enjoying the game, Meghan Markle decided to set her camera up and film her reaction. And we're going to play the clip, but I have to warn you, you need to maybe turn your headphones down, turn your volume down, because I've actually never heard something so loud in my life. I have never heard something so insufferable in my entire life. And when you look at Prince Harry, in that video, you see a man who is broken. Okay, a man who is absolutely broken. And we all know this guy. Okay, he gets in a relationship, he changes his whole life around for a woman, and he's made his bed and he has to lie in it. This man is whipped for Meghan Markle, and he knows he's in hell. Okay, it actually looks like he's in a cave right now. He looks like he's in a cave. I don't know what this media room is. This media room is not a media room you would see in this like massive multi-million-dollar mansion. It looks pretty dingy, the media room, but he's in this media room. And Prince Harry, if you even zoom in on him, just looks like the shell of a man. He just looks emasculated and broken. Okay, and there's nothing a man hates more than that high-pitched, shrieking, shrill tone that women do. Okay, in my audience, a majority of you are women. Okay, 85% of you are women. But you know, if you go to a restaurant and you see a girl's birthday party or a bachelorette, it is going to be probably the loudest table ever. But Prince Harry also knows that Meghan Markle is a grifter and a scammer. The game was over. Meghan Markle sets her camera up, she puts on a filter, and then she records it like this is a natural reaction because she's an actress. Okay, she wasn't a good enough actress to make it in Hollywood, but she's a good enough actress for these ridiculous Instagram videos. But that shrieking is going to be imprinted in my mind until the day I die. Okay, that shrieking, it sounded like she was maybe part of some, remote Amazonian tribe that hasn't been contacted by humans or something. It was like, ay, 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 ay. Like she was in some tribe in the freaking rainforest that has only seen humans once or twice. She sounded like a dying hyena. Like she needed to be put down. She needed to be euthanized. That sound, I mean, what man wants to live in the house with that sound? Now let's continue to break the video down. Okay, we're going to break this video down like it's the Zapruder film. Okay, number one, Prince Harry, where are the kids? You would think that the son Archie would want to watch the World Series, right? It wasn't too late in California. It was actually the earliest place to watch the World Series. Doesn't the kid want to watch the World Series? Apparently, the kids are still nowhere to be found. Number two, normally, if you're going to watch the World Series, you have some guy friends. Prince Harry has no guys around him, no dudes. I mean, even when you get together for the Super Bowl or any type of big game, the US Open, some folks get together for that. You have your friends, you have food, you have snacks. Prince Harry has no friends around, no guys. He is stuck, miserable, leaning back in the chair with Meghan Markle shrieking and screaming and jumping around. He hates his life. And I think Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, maybe they'll be heading toward divorce soon, but I don't know, because when you're in that, it's almost like being in a cult. It's like maybe being a Branch Davidian or something. He's like in there and he can't see his way out of it, Prince Harry, so he's probably just taking mushrooms and psychedelics and microdosing to live day to day with Meghan Markle. But let's switch gears, okay? Let's go across the pond to talk about some more of the fallout with Prince Andrew. According to the New York Post, Princess Catherine, the Princess of Wales, had a hand in what's gone on with Prince Andrew recently. If you haven't heard, Prince Andrew had his title stripped. He's now going to be Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the artist formerly known as Prince. He's going to be moving out of Royal Lodge and moving to Sandringham and basically exiled from the entire family. Now, he says he did nothing wrong, and he has not been criminally convicted of any wrongdoing whatsoever. But they're coming down hard on Andrew. And it's believed that Catherine was involved as well. You're right. Catherine has been a big advocate for women, for young girls, for those who've been mistreated. So I'm not shocked to hear that Catherine was involved. And one of the things I love about Catherine is she has such a sense of the monarchy and of tradition and how traditions need to be carried through. Catherine knows she's going to be queen someday. Her husband, William, is going to be king. In order for them to have a monarchy and to have a monarchy to preside over, they have to survive in the public eye because the monarchy lives by public approval. So when only 1 in 4 people say they're on Prince Andrew's side, 75% are saying he's got to go. And that's how the royal family rolls, okay? They live and die by the public. If the public doesn't support them, how can they sustain? And Catherine and William are the most beloved members of the royal family. Catherine, we love her. She carries herself with class, grace, and elegance. So, of course, she's coming in as a very, very senior member of this family, the future queen. She's coming in and saying, look, Andrew's got to go. Andrew has to go. And so I'm happy that she did. I'm happy that she came in, she put her foot down, and she said he's got to go. And for me, I do have some mixed feelings on it, right? Andrew says he did nothing wrong. He did absolutely nothing wrong. He hasn't been criminally convicted. But I also know where there's smoke, there could be fire. I also know in order for the monarchy to survive, he's got to go. And I think that's more important, right? When the entire public has turned on him, why dig your heels in for a member of the family who's not even senior, who's never going to be king, whose kids are never even going to be close to the throne? I understand Andrew's got to go. In order for the monarchy to survive, y'all know I love my royals, he has to go. Now, the last person I want to discuss here in my notes is Prince Andrew's former wife, Sarah Ferguson. I think she's the former Duchess of York. I don't know if she gets to keep her title. She's apparently moving into a separate home from Andrew to forge an independent life. They say it is unlikely for her to relocate to Sandringham, and a separate source confirms that she will find her own place and is going to move forward independently. Now, Andrew, of course, is relocating to Sandringham Estate, and any future accommodations will be privately funded by King Charles. Now, formal notice was served to him on October 30th to surrender the lease, yada, yada, yada. So I don't know what's going to happen to Fergie. Okay, I don't know what's going to happen to little Fergalicious here. Don't know if she's going to move, into a flat, into a condo. I don't know where the hell she's living now. I know she doesn't have a ton of money. If we remember, Fergie tried to sell access to Andrew a long time ago. Okay, I love Fergie. I still have a place in my heart for Fergs, but let's not act like she isn't a little bit of a huckster. Okay, Sarah Ferguson, she's a little bit of a huckster. Okay. But I do wish her well relocating to wherever she moves and hope she lands on her feet. I think she's doing her children's books and, selling, whatever the hell she's selling. But one thing that's interesting, even though they've been divorced, Andrew and Fergie for a long time, they've remained this tight-knit, dynamic duo. Like, they are joined at the hip, right? They really do the whole co-parenting thing with Beatrice and Eugenie. The last thing I'll say before we have to move on, okay? My brain is going to fry if we keep talking about all this. The corgis, the Queen's beloved corgis, apparently they're going to continue living with Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, who I don't know if she's still the Duchess of York, but I can rest easy knowing that the corgis are still going to have a home and be taken care of. Okay, those corgis are a international treasure. They're international treasures, not just national treasures. I love those corgis. The Queen loved those dogs. They were so sweet. Okay, you guys need to hear about this. Today's show is brought to you by Oxford Natural, the people behind Optimum Day and Optimum Night. These are all natural supplements, and thousands of Americans are already on them because they actually work. Here's the deal. Optimum Day gives you clean energy, kills those cravings, and helps with weight loss. Optimum Night, that's your reset button. It calms you down, gets you sleeping deep, and you wake up ready to go again. And the results are insane. Michael Owen, the England soccer legend, he's down 40 pounds. Robbie from AFTV dropped over 100. Linda, top law executive, she's down 50. And Anita, an immigration lawyer, she's down 60 pounds. Real people, real results. So if you want in, scan the QR code or hit the link below. And listen, if you use the code SPOT, you get 70% off your first order. Yes, 70% off. So don't wait. Start your transformation right now with Oxford Natural. Let's get to work. Now, last but not least, I want to talk about actress Jennifer Lawrence. You might remember her from the Hunger Games movies. That's what we used to do before Ozempic, the Hunger Games. So Jennifer Lawrence, she's from the Hunger Games films. She apparently has come to the reality and to the conclusion that we've all known for years, which is that celebrity endorsements do nothing. Okay, she gave an interview to the New York Times, and I have it here. And in the New York Times, it's called Jennifer Lawrence Regrets Everything She's Ever Said or Done. She was asked by the reporter, "You've been politically outspoken in the past. In the first Trump administration, you had a lot to say. I'm curious how you feel about speaking out now." Here's what Jennifer Lawrence said. "I don't really know if I should. During the first Trump administration, I felt like I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But as we've learned, election after election, celebrities do not make a difference whatsoever on who people vote for. So then what am I doing? I'm just sharing my opinion on something that's going to add fuel to a fire that's ripping the country apart." Good for you, Jennifer Lawrence. You finally learned. Good for you. Let's do a little golf clap for Jennifer Lawrence and all these celebrities. Maybe Jennifer Lawrence can tell George Clooney too. Jennifer Lawrence, George Clooney, Jennifer Lopez, Cardi B, all of these celebrities who came out and endorsed Kamala Harris, that chick lost every single swing state in the popular vote. No one cares. Literally no one cares about celebrity endorsements. When I hear that celebrities love someone or something, it actually makes me like it less, right? If I hear that a bunch of freaking demonic, satanic Hollywood celebrities are all rooting for something, I don't know here. I have some suspicions. That's how I feel about Jennifer Lawrence. So I'm glad that she's learned that we actually don't want to hear from you. We want you to act. Go be an actress. Go count your millions of dollars. You don't need to chime in on all this, okay? I've seen so many celebrities, especially in the last few years, that try to pull their out and put it on the table and act like they know something. They think because they're rich and they're famous that they must be geniuses in all these other areas, but they're bringing a knife to a gunfight because they don't know jack about anything, okay? They don't know about politics. They don't know about the Electoral College. They don't know about polling. They don't know the issues Americans actually care about, okay? Because they live in these Hollywood liberal elite enclaves. They live in like Bel Air. They live in mansions. They live in New York City in penthouse apartments. They have homes in Malibu, homes in Europe. And then they want to come around every 4 years and tell us how to vote. Okay, but people are pushing back on that. Celebrity endorsements mean absolutely nothing, and I'm happy that Jennifer Lawrence has finally learned. Did you know that chips and fries were cooked in tallow until the 90s when big corporations switched to cheap, processed seed oils? Now those oils are about 20% of the average American's daily calories, and studies link them to metabolic issues and inflammation. It's crazy how this was sold as healthy. That's why I'm obsessed with Masa chips. They created a delicious tortilla chip with simple ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. No seed oils, no fillers. These chips are crunchier, tastier, and sturdy enough for guac without breaking apart. Snacking on Masa, you feel satisfied, light, and energized. No crash, bloat, or sluggish vibe. That beef tallow is key, keeping you full so you don't binge endlessly. My favorite, the original, fresh, savory, and perfect for any vibe. Ready to give Masa a try? Go to masachips.com/link and use code LINK for 25% off your first order. That's masachips.com/link, code LINK for 25% off your first order. And if you don't feel like ordering online, that's fine. Masa is now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket, so stop by and pick up a bag before they're gone. Well, my friends, thank you for tuning in to Spot On with Link. Lauren, I absolutely love you all. You know, I read all your comments. I read your messages. Even if I can't respond to everything, I absolutely love you. I also love this group of women. Okay, we've got the moms and the grandmas and the great-grandmas. Y'all really are the backbone of the show, okay? My ladies in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, y'all are the ones sending the show to your kids, your grandkids, to your friends, your family, sharing it on Facebook, and I absolutely love you and welcome here. Like I always say, I think some young people, they overlook the elderly. They think, why do I need to pay attention to you? I'd rather hang out with you old people than a lot of folks my age. So I love you. Thank you for tuning into the show. We will be back on Wednesday. We have a big election tomorrow. On Tuesday, there's a big election, okay? New York City might elect a communist, or they might elect Andrew Cuomo. We got some bad options here, but we will be back on Wednesday. I will see you guys then.